Hey everyone, welcome back to this tutorial where we will create something super useful for the Excel user. A calendar date picker that pops up right next to the selected cell. You might be tired by typing manually dates and there could be a possibility that the issue also facing for the date format, right? So in this tutorial, we are going to fix it by creating our own custom calendar control where we can select and the date. Okay, let me show you. Here I have some data. If I click on the manufacturing date, you see that I get a button over here where I can select. If I click on that, the date picker gets appear and I can select any date. Okay, you can move the calendar also by this and select the date as required. Okay, same thing for the sales date. I have the date calendar. Okay, you can see that it is not appearing in the column A, B, D, and F. It is only appearing in the date column because we have coded like that. So it will only appear over here and nowhere else. And let me show you the VBA code that we are going to write. It is going to contain one form, okay, user form, where we are just going to create this calendar layout. We are going to have one module to run this particular form, and we are creating a button also, dynamic button. Okay, the blue button you saw in the view. And finally we are just going to write a small code based on the selection where it should appear. A copy of the file, this is the demo file, and we are just going to write everything over here. So let's go to Visual Basic, and here you can see that we have the form. If we go inside the form code, there is nothing appear. Okay, so we are just going to design this first. So you can see number of buttons over here. Just let me explain you first of all the layout, and then after we will start the coding. Okay, initially you can see two buttons over here, that is a previous and the next. Here while selecting these buttons you can see the previous month or the next month from the current. Okay, this is the label just going to show you the month and year. We have just also changed the label names, so you can take a note over there. LBL month and year for this label where we are going to show month and year, and the buttons are BTN next and BTN previous. Okay, we have created 7 labels for the instruction showing the weekday, that is Sunday, Monday up to Saturday. As per our calculation, we start from the Sunday and ends with the Saturday. All the calculations are done for the calendar. Next we have 42 buttons. This are named in a sequence, that is a D1, D2, D3 up to D42. Okay, so we have the 6 rows and 7 columns in these buttons. And the last button is close, where you can close this user form without selecting any date. Now we need to code like that. Whenever we click on the button, it should appear that value to that particular active cell. Okay, but before that, if we run this form, you can see all the zeros are there and still you can see all the zeros. So we need to just fix it out first. We need to get a calendar first of all over here, and then after we will do our rest of the code. So let's go and start it. First of all, let's do the initial as the user, yeah, user form. And instead of click, we are just going to use initialize, because whenever the form gets open, what should happen? So without doing any code here, I'm just going to create one procedure, that is subroutine again, and that subroutine will help us to refresh that value again and again whenever it is required, because initialize is going to work only once whenever the form is loaded. Okay, so let me write like update calendar. This is a procedure, and we are just going to create a procedure, private sub update calendar. Okay, and we are just going to write our code over here. Let me create one variable on the top first of all. This is the variable that I'm going to create, selected date, and this is going to capture the month and year of that particular date throughout our user form. First of all, we need some variables, so I'm just going to paste these values. We have this first day, last day, start position, I control. This control is going to be used for the buttons, and these are the values going to be used for creating the calendar values. I'm just pasting the code over here, so don't worry, you will also get the same code in the description. I will share the file also, because instead of typing over here, it is going to just consume a time, nothing else. Okay, let me first of all tell you, these are the first date and date serials. These are the functions that are going to generate the date. We are getting the date, this variable. Okay, default it is a date, and we need to set the date. First of all, we will do that just a moment, and we are just getting the month from that selected date. Okay, whatever the date is selected, we are just going to put that, and default starts with a 1. So for example, if this is the April month, then we are saying that the 1st of April 2025, and the variable last day, it is going to return us the last day of that particular month. And how it is going to happen, we already said the current year, and from the month we are selecting +1. So the selected month, for example, it is April, then we are +1, that is May, and putting a 0, that is going to return us the last day of the previous month, so the April 30. Okay, so these are the two variables going to capture the day start date and the day last value. Okay, now we need to display the month on the label. So I'm just going to put lbl month year dot caption equal to format selected date, month and a year. So here we are done with the form, this particular thing, that we are just going to have the month and year over here. But now we want to update these buttons. Okay, these all the buttons from the sequence start from 1 to 30, 31st, or 28 for the February, or the leap year 29, whatever. Okay, so for that we are just going to write our for loop, and before that we need to clean all the labels. Initially it is all zeros, right? So we need to clean all of them. So I am just writing a small code that is going to clean the previous dates, that is all the values from the caption. Okay, so here me dot control, and I am just looking towards the control with the word d. D starts for the day. Okay, if you label them with some anything else other than d, then you can put the initial values, and rest the number should be the same in sequence. Next, we need to find the start position. That is a Sunday or a Monday, what we are doing. So for this, I'm just putting a weekday function over here. With the first day, we already received this value from here, and the start day is from the Sunday. So Sunday is 1, Monday is 2, and so on. Okay, you can change the value over here if you wish to modify this. Okay, and the last thing is we just need to update that all the button captions. Okay, so for that, filling the calendar with dates 1 to the last day, whatever the last day we received from there, we are just putting that. Okay, and the caption values are going to update with this. Okay, so let's run this code and see the zeros are changed with the values or not. Yep, the zeros are changed with the values. Default it is taking December 1899 or something like that, because we did not put any date over there. That is the reason. Let's say we already have the variable, right? This. So instead of selected date, I can put date. This is going to put the current date over here. So when we run this form, it will automatically appear April 25th. So we have updated our calendar. Now what is next? Need to create a previous and a next, right? So it is going to be a very simple. Let's create a previous and a next. Both are going to be almost same code. For the previous one, we are just minusing 1 month. Okay, add date -1 from the selected date, whatever the date is selected, -1, and recreate the calendar. And for the next one, you might be understood now that we are just going to update with the 1. Okay, so here let's see. Yep, it is working fine with the March, February, January, and all that, right? Okay, so one thing is done. We already done with this calendar, and let's do one more event. Unload me. So this is going to close this. So we are done here with this particular activity. We have designed this calendar and everything. Now it's a time to highlight that value whenever it is been selected. Let's create a code in a module. You can say it is a blank. Here we are just going to create two subroutines. One subroutine is going to open our user form. Okay, show calendar. So this will be appear in a macro now. Whenever we click on the macro, you can see that it is appearing. So when we click on it, it is going to open this form. So now to create a dynamic calendar button that we saw in our previous example, so for that, I'm just going to create one another subroutine. I'm just going to explain you. The name we have said as insert calendar button. Okay, and for that we are just using a shape field over here. And to identify the current range, the cell position, we are just going to use this two variables, the current for this ws for the current active sheet, and c as a range whenever we click over there. So we are assigning active sheet as a ws and active cell as a c, current cell. Okay. Next, to avoid the errors, because when creating or deleting a control, if control is not there, then it will give us an error that nothing found. So first time when the control is already not created, it cannot be deleted. So to avoid such kind of issues, we are putting on error resume next, and we are putting on error go to 0. Okay, now we are creating a new shape to assigning this variable, that current worksheet shape, add shape, and we are selecting a rectangle shape. You can select oval, circle, or anything you want. Okay, for the c that is the current cell position, c dot left, c dot width, whatever the cell left and width is there by default, we are just adding a width with a 5 that is going to show us a little bit sideway to that particular cell. And the size of this particular shape is going to by 20 by 20, that is a square. Okay, next we are assigning the properties, so the shape can look a better way. We are first of all giving the name to this shape. There is a button calendar. We are just going to use that again and again while deleting or updating these values. So this button on action show calendar, that means we are just calling this function show calendar. When we click on that button, it should show. Okay, filling that value with the RGB, that is a blue color right now, and line visible is a false, that means borders are not going to be visible for that shape. And the frame inside the value is going to be a dot dot like that, and the size will be the 10. Horizontal and vertically we are just putting into the center of that particular frame. Okay, so this is the value. If we go in this and we click over here, you can see macro, and if we click on this and click on run, you can see it appears where the cell is there. The space between this is a 5 plus with the left value. Okay, and when we click on this, you can see the calendar view is getting open. Now next is whenever we click on the date, it should appear. For example, if I click on 8, that means 8 of April 25 should be appearing here. For that, we need to write some different code over here. So let's get there. That whenever we click on this button, it should appear on the cell. But here you can see that we have 42 buttons. Okay, and writing each and every function in each and every line item is going to be a big line of code and repetitive also. And so to avoid that, I'm just going to create one additional subroutine over here. Just adding a subroutine. And this is the code that we are just going to use to update that value. First of all, we are just creating a one button as a command button and assigning that value with the active control. Active control in the sense whatever the current click is there, we are just going to use this. And later on, we are just going to assign this action button to the controls. How? Like this. When we double click on this, we are just going to call that button, that is a date button click event, and this is going to repeatedly used for every code. Now we are just looking to the caption. The caption is numeric, that means some value is there. Then the active cell dot value, whatever the cell is active right now on the sheet, for that date serial, we are using the function date serial, and then we are gathering the information from the selected date, whatever the month and year is selected, and the current value from that button caption. Okay, so we are just converting to integer value from the text and creating a date and putting over the this value. And then after we are just unloading me, that is closing the user form. And deleting the shape, because it is necessary to remove the shape also from that particular cell. So next we are just removing that BT and calendar control from there. Okay, so let me see that it is working very fine. And for that, before doing that, we need to create all the events for this. So one thing is there that you can copy and paste all the values like this and then change the value 2 3 and that. If you want to write in a single line, then you can put a colon at the end and you can write all the code in a single line. This is the way where VBA helps to understand the code line continuously for this. Okay, so I'm just going to paste all the events. I already have that values. So on the top, I'm just going to add this lines for the 42 buttons, click events, and each and every time we are just calling this date button underscore click. Okay, so these are the 42 events over here. Now what's next? Just run and test. So if we click, it is not showing up here, but if we click here and click over there, it is appearing and giving us the date. Okay, so next code is how it is allowing this column F and column C to appear this button and allowing the date, whereas we are not able to do anything with the A, B, D and C. So let me show you that. Go to the VBA. Okay, and I can show you that in the sheet I have just create some code in the event selection change. Okay, worksheet selection change. It contains one variable named as a target as a range. Whenever you select any area in that particular sheet, it is going to appear in this variable. Okay, we are starting with the on error resume next, because we are dealing with the shape and normally it gives error if you don't follow this line, because also we are removing the shapes or adding the shape is going to happen here. First of all, let's create a shape variable, and I am just creating a boolean variable that shape is exist or not. So we will validate it. First of all, default value is false, because whenever the initial we load the form, it is not going to appear. So we are saying false for that, and looping to this all the shapes whatever on the form is, because there are all possibility that when you are making a file, it could have more than one shape over there. So we are dedicatedly checking the shape with the name button calendar. If it is there, then we will say it is true and exit for looping to the next. We are just looking that the count large is 1. Okay, the variable is going to show that the single cell is selected or the multiple cell is selected. If it is a multiple, it is going to increase the value more than 1, and if it is only one cell, then this is going to happen. Why this is required? Because there are all possibility that you can select more than one cell at a time, and if it shows the calendar control, there is no way to display the value in a which cell. So we are just looking to this variable. Next, we are just added this particular comment for you, that we are just allowing column number C and column number F. We are dedicatedly looking towards the date column only. So it should not appear each and every cell kind of thing. Okay, so here we are just looking the target column is 3, that is a C, and or the target column is a 6, that is a F. Okay, then only it should appear. We are also checking it should not appear in the header, so we are just allowing target row should be greater than 1. If we don't write this line, it will appear on the header also, and that is not going to be a good value, right? Next, if this is the true, then we are creating the shape by calling the function insert calendar button that we already discussed. And if this is false, that means if shape exists, if it is a true that shape is there, then we need to remove that shape. If it is not, we don't do anything over here. Okay, and if the cell content is more than one row, we are again looking towards the shape. If it is already exists, then we are deleting it. Okay, so this is the way that the shape should be appear on the sheet. So this is the way. Okay, if you put, for example, to show the example, if I just remove this particular or condition, this means we are just going to show the date on column number 3. Let me show you. I'm just going to run. Now you are not able to see anything over here, but you can still get the date calendar over here, right? And that's it for today's tutorial. Hope this tutorial helps you in your upcoming project or ongoing project or in your learning. If it's so, please make sure to like, share it with your Excel buddies, and subscribe for more practical Excel tips and VBA solutions. Have any questions or future idea about any kind of project regarding the Excel and VBA? Please drop in the comment. I would love to see that. See you in the next video.